The apparent execution of the Jordanian soldier certainly underscores the brutality of the enemy that we're all facing, and underscores again why having a strategy to defeat ISIS is really important. I mean, I think we had an opportunity last week to hear from people like Secretary Albright, Secretary Kissinger, and others, including former military personnel, who say that clearly if the goal is to defeat ISIS, we need to have a strategy to defeat ISIS. And every time we witness a new example of this brutality, it reminds us again that these people are not going away. And no matter how many times you declare the war on terror over, it isn't over until the terrorists relent. So it brings to the fore again today just what we're up against.
Well, just a few minutes, we're going to have an important vote on the to get on the Department of Homeland Security appropriations bill. This is a $40 billion piece of legislation which would authorize the function of a very important federal agency, the Department of Homeland Security. The House has quite appropriately added a rider to this bill which would not fund the President's unconstitutional executive action on immigration. There is bipartisan agreement that the President simply overreached when he issued that order in November of last year. Of course, you'll remember he withheld it until after the election, fearing the backlash that would occur on November the 4th if he had done it before the election. But we've had a number of Democratic senators, from Senator Franken to Senator Manchin, Senator McCaskill, among others. I think there are a total of about 7 Democratic senators who said they are either uncomfortable with or disagree with the President taking the action he took. So I ask you, why in the world would our friends across the aisle, when there is bipartisan agreement that the action the President took was an unconstitutional overreach, why would they refuse to give us the votes to get on the bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security and to address this unconstitutional overreach? We'll find out here shortly, but we will be voting to get on the bill and to debate the bill, and it really is hard for me to conceive of our Democratic friends if they insist on defeating our ability to actually fund the Department of Homeland Security, but that's what they have said they intend to do.
Just as proof that bipartisanship is alive and well in the United States Senate, tomorrow the Senate is going to be getting together for the first time in a long time for a bipartisan lunch. It's something that was encouraged by Senators Flake and Heinrich, and something that Senator Schumer and I have been discussing a number of different times on the floor, and the least partisan place in the Senate gym. And what came out of that was an agreement. We talked to our leaders who agreed to have a bipartisan lunch. So we'll do that tomorrow, and it'll be a good chance for, I think, both sides to hear from each other, and we're going to hear from some of our more senior members and some of our newer members in the Senate on both sides. I just want to mention briefly, this morning in the Senate Finance Committee, we had Commissioner Koskinen come and testify from the IRS. The IRS in their budget this year, in the President's budget, is requesting an 18.1% increase in funding at a time when the IRS is telling people across this country that they're not going to be able to provide the assistance that American taxpayers need to file their taxes. That is outrageous on its face and offensive to the American taxpayer. The IRS has shelled out over $1 million in bonuses, 10,000 hours in paid vacation time to 1,100 IRS employees who owe back taxes. So at a time when they're telling the American taxpayers that they're not going to be able to keep up with all the needs that they have to get their taxes filed on time, they've got employees in their own organization who owe back taxes. That is simply unacceptable, and it's something that the IRS needs to answer for, and the American taxpayer deserves better from the federal agency that collects their taxes, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the IRS is held accountable.
The President met this morning at the White House with some people who had written him letters to say that they were happy with his health care law. I would invite the President to call into the White House people who have written him letters about the damage that the health care law has done for those families in terms of the cost of care, the availability of care, people that have lost their insurance and lost their ability to keep their doctor. We know that across the country, for people who claim they've been helped by the law, there are more people who believe that they have been harmed as a result of the health care law. Now, the Supreme Court will soon be hearing the King case about the subsidies. There's no evidence that the President mentioned that at all at the White House today. So the President has already cut the deal with the insurance companies to hold them harmless in the sense of how the King case may turn out. But yet he has said nothing to the Americans who are being harmed by the health care law and may be significantly impacted by the ruling in the King case, when I believe they're going to rule that the President has acted illegally. It's time for the President to come clean to the American people.
So the vote we'll take in a few minutes will not be a vote on how to fund the Department of Homeland Security. It'll be a vote on whether to debate that bill or not. Now, the Democrats, if they vote not to even debate the bill, are clearly not willing to move forward with what it takes to fund the Department of Homeland Security, even though they'll be saying we need to do this in some different way to protect the country. You can't protect the country if you refuse to even debate the bill. Now, the President said 22 different times he couldn't do what he did last year. I understand their lack of interest in trying to come up with a defense of the President saying 22 times he couldn't do something and then do it. The House added ways to deal with that illegal action, according to the President himself, on the bill. But this is not voting on that. This is just a vote to debate the bill. Democracy doesn't work if you don't debate. So often in the last Congress, we were accused of not being ready to end the debate because we weren't allowed to have the debate. But we were seldom accused of not starting the debate. Let's debate the bill, fund the department, but more importantly, look at what the House tried to do to rectify the damage the President did with the way he has moved forward on these issues.
Senator Blunt is exactly right. When I was in 6th grade, they started teaching me how a bill becomes a law. In this case, the Homeland Security bill was passed by the House of Representatives. It has certain provisions in there that some of us really think are necessary, and some of our Democratic friends don't particularly care for that language. But the way that bill becomes a law is we take it up on the Senate side, we open it up for consideration, we open it up for amendment, and then we see if we can get up enough votes to pass it. The vote today is a vote on whether or not to take up the House-passed bill that funds the Department of Homeland Security. It's time to go back to the 6th grade, realize that in order for this bill to be passed, we must first get on the bill, and Roy Blunt is absolutely right. You got to take it up, and then you start amending it. If they don't like it, they can vote against it on final passage. But the House has funded the Department of Homeland Security. We in the Republican conference are eager to pass a bill funding the Department of Homeland Security, making it clear what we feel is constitutional and what is not constitutional, and forwarding that bill on to the President so that this vital department can indeed be funded.
Senator Reid said just a few moments ago here that he would not, Senate Democrats would not accept anything other than a fully clean DHS bill. Would you rule that out, or is there a scenario where you could envision bringing that up?
Well, I think our colleagues here have covered it quite well. What they're saying, in effect, is they're refusing to debate a bill they'd like to change. And the way you change the bill is to get on the bill and offer amendments. So I think it's a rather, honestly, absurd position to say that we object to the bill but don't want to debate the bill or change the bill. So I'm perplexed. I'm glad I didn't have to come out here and make that argument to you all. because I think it's a pretty hard argument to make with a straight face. Yeah, Jeff?
That the ISIS video underscores the brutality of what we're facing. Given that, do you think that this is the proper venue to be having a debate on the Department of Homeland Security bill? Do you believe you've been backed into a corner here at all by Republicans at the end of last year, and what's the way out of it?
No, we don't feel we've been backed into a corner. This is a bill that funds the Department of Homeland Security. We're going to take it up. If the Senate wants to change it, it'll have to get on it. And there are some members of my conference who want to make some changes. So the first step towards seeing whether the Senate wants to change the bill is to get on the bill. We've said it repeatedly here, and that's we can't see whether there's a sentiment for altering the bill until we get on it. Yeah.
Do you think that children should be immunized against childhood disease? And if so, what role should parents play?
Yeah, look, as a victim of polio myself, I'm a big fan of vaccinations, and if I were a parent who had a child who might be subject to getting any particular disease, I would come down on the side of vaccination.
Should it be mandatory? Should vaccines be mandatory for parents?
I can tell you what I would do if I were a parent and had a child in this situation.
Do you think it's irresponsible?
Thanks a lot, everybody.